Hello, friends! Welcome to our very first episode of this series where we will be exploring the history of Islam together. And today, I'm really excited because I'm not alone. I'm joined by a very dear brother and a knowledgeable speaker, Brother Ali. He has a deep passion for Islamic history, and together with him, we'll try to uncover what life in Arabia looked like before the coming of Islam. Brother Ali, welcome to the show.
Hello, Brother Amar. Jazakallahu khair for such a kind introduction. I'm really happy to be here and to start this journey with you. This is such an important topic, and I'm honored to share it with everyone listening.
So today begins the very first episode of our series. We will travel back 1400 years to Arabia when the system of Islam had not yet arrived. Brother Ali, let's start with a question. What was Arabia like before the coming of Islam?
Brother Amar, that's a very good question. At that time, the lives of Arabs were tribal. Each tribe had its own leader and its own rules. There was no central government or empire, only tribes with their customs. The biggest value was loyalty. A person's honor was his tribe. If your tribe was strong, you were respected. If not, you were vulnerable.
So politics and law all revolved around tribal loyalty?
Exactly. But there were consequences. If two tribes clashed, wars could last for years, with revenge cycles that never ended. Even a small insult could trigger a tribal war. That's why Arabia was often called the land of endless feuds.
And what about the economy at that time?
Arabia had two important cities, Mecca and Medina. Mecca was a trade hub. Caravans passed through it, heading north to Syria, south to Yemen, and east to Persia. The Quraysh tribe, who controlled Mecca, were very rich and influential. The most important thing was the Kaaba. It held 360 idols, with each tribe placing their idol there and coming for pilgrimage. The Quraysh gained both religious and economic power because of their custodianship of the Kaaba.
Subhanallah. So the Kaaba, which Prophet Ibrahim has originally built for monotheism, had become the center of idol worship?
Exactly. The message of Tawheed, oneness of God, had been distorted. The Arabs still said Allah was the supreme God, but they considered idols as intermediaries. People would prostrate before them, offer sacrifices in their names. Shirk polytheism had become deeply embedded in society.
So that was spiritual decline. What about the social structure?
Brother, society was full of inequalities. Women had very limited rights. One terrible custom was wad al-banat, burying newborn daughters alive. People considered daughters a burden on their honor. Later, the Quran condemned this practice in very strong words. Then there was slavery. Prisoners from tribal wars were enslaved, and slavery was considered normal. Another key feature was poetry. For Arabs, poetry wasn't just entertainment, it was identity. A tribe took pride in its poet. Poets used to say, "Our pen is sharper than a sword."
Wow, so they were strong in art and culture too. But what about morality?
Morality was selective. On one hand, Arabs were very generous and hospitable. If someone came to their home, it was their duty to honor him. But, on the other hand, gambling, drinking, and immorality were very common. Drinking wine was considered a matter of pride. Gambling wasted tribal wealth.
And And aside from religion, was there any intellectual or philosophical thought?
Arabia was mostly illiterate. There were no schools or universities. But oral culture was strong. People memorized stories, genealogies, and poetry. Another important point, Arabia was located between Rome and Persia, two superpowers. Rome was Christian, Persia was Zoroastrian. Arabs saw both influences, but maintained their own system.
So, Brother Ali, was there any group that stayed away from shirk?
Yes, there were a few people called Hunafa. They wanted to follow the religion of Ibrahim as. They rejected shirk and said, there is only one true God. One famous name was Zayd ibn Amr ibn Nufail. He would stand by the Kaaba and say, people of Quraysh, you have deviated from the religion of Ibrahim. They were a small minority, but they showed that a spiritual hunger already existed.
Subhanallah. So Allah chose to send the Prophet, peace be upon him, to a society where there was oppression, but also hearts that were ready for the message.
Exactly. Allah chose that society where on one side there was oppression and shirk, but on the other side, the open desert culture allowed ideas to travel. Because of caravan trade, the message of Islam could quickly spread across the world.
So, Brother Ali, can you give us a quick summary of what pre Islamic Arabia was like?
Here's the summary. Politically, tribal system, no central state. Economically, Mecca was a trade hub, Kaaba a religious center. Socially, inequalities, women oppressed, slavery common. Culturally, poetry, oral tradition, hospitality. Religiously, shirk, idols in Kaaba, but also Hunafa seeking the truth. This was the backdrop into which Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was sent, and everything changed.
Mashallah, that was a very comprehensive discussion. So, friends, that was our first episode. In the next episode, we'll discuss the early life of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his journey up to prophethood.